First of all, I'd like to thank any veterans, fellow veterans out there. Thank you for your service in any way, shape, or form, including first responders. So, thank you very much for everything you've done for us and have done in the past and will continue to do in the future. All right. All right. We're going to do a look at the week ahead, and we'll go over some stuff. Just a little bit of information about me and the portion of the hit and run candlesticks that I run. Well, to start with a disclaimer, you know, trading involves risk. You can lose money, and make sure you are doing stuff that's smart. And I would strongly suggest that you use simulated trading first before using real money. All right. Background about me. I see that I have a typo here. It's not a live futures room. It's a live trading room. Very short-term trading. Do very little futures now. The agenda, we're going to go over the economic calendar, earnings calendar, market overview. We'll do some trade ideas. Any Q&A that are not stock specific. And if there's some time, and only if there's time, we'll look at some of your stocks. There may or may not be any. So we'll do the best that we can. Well, Joseph, I think you found the right place for it, actually. Okay, here is the earnings. I'm going to be a little bit easier to see if I bring up this calendar. Okay, no economic reports on Monday. The federal government's closed. And nothing really on Tuesday. We have CPI on Wednesday. We've got a slew of reports on Thursday, and the petroleum report got pushed back. All right. Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate that. And on Friday, you've got industrial production. I did post out that earnings document out there, which has all the earnings and what I've highlighted is what I believe the market moving economic reports are. Earnings calendar, pretty darn light. We're at the tail end of earnings season. I have highlighted in yellow here. Not right now, Mr. Isa H. Or the ones in yellow are the ones with greater than 10% short interest. There are a lot more stocks that are reporting than what I show here, but these are the ones with what I consider tradable volume. All right, market overview. Let's go here. All right, let's start with the spiders. Spiders got up to about the $281 level, which was near the swing high before and just a little bit below the 50, and right around this dash line is my 100 period moving average. The magenta line here is a 17 exponential. The light blue cyan line is an 8 exponential, and the dashed little orange line here, if you can see it, is a 3 exponential. I don't normally use that as except as a heads up, and in fact I don't use moving averages for anything to help me except to help me judge the trend. And right up here is where the trend changed to down. Before we had our big sell-off, it had already changed to a downtrend for me. We did a bounce, but that was nothing more than a reversion to the mean. However, over the last, the build-up into the midterm elections, we actually had basically a hint that we might be changing direction of trend, and the overall trend is up, but it looks like we're either doing a pullback or a rollback down to lower. What I'm seeing here is a possibility, and I only just say a possibility, that we're doing an inverted head and shoulders, with this being the head, shoulder right and left, or here, one of the two, and there. So If that's the case, we'd pull back somewhere around maybe 275 and then break out and go try to attack the 285 to 290 level. That would jive with my idea of where the economy is or whatever, but I'm going to let the charts tell me. Right now, we're at a very, very short-term 2 to 3 day pullback. I'm going to show you their exponential moving averages. I used the 8 and the 17. This said we were in a grind up, then we were in a confirmed downtrend for quite a while, and now it looks like we're trying to do part of the bottoming process. All right, let's go back and look at the diamonds. The diamonds were a little stronger than the S&P, but in fact it has the same kind of shape here. And a pullback with the potential for a move higher. But we'll have to make sure that it actually does continue higher. Go to the Qs. Now, the Qs have been smacked around quite a bit. Thanks, Malcolm. Let's see here. They pulled back a lot deeper. They pulled back, and they haven't bounced nearly as much. So this one has the forming of a lopsided head and shoulder, if you will, with this being the upside. I would be very cautious in the Qs and any of, especially the high tech, for a while, because I'm going to probably want it to break over this 175. What we want is higher highs and higher lows. We've done that. But we want to make sure that we don't break this low. If we break this low, it's going to be a big warning sign for me. Below about 168. This level right here, 169-ish, 168. All right, now let's go back and look at the IWM. IWM started its weakness showing much earlier than everybody else, late August, early September, although it was only a grind, and then it picked up its momentum as we slid off the table. All right, it also has to worry about this 152 to 153 level. If it loses that, we go back into a downtrend. If you look at the EMAs, this could be just a reversion to the mean bounce for the IWM. So we've got a bifurcated market. We've got the high tech and IWMs that are looking on the weakish side, and we've got the S&P and the Dow, the multinationals, looking like they're just doing a pullback and an uptrend. So which one's going to win out? I do not know at the moment. So that's where we are at the moment. All right, let's go back to our look at the week ahead. I have some long trade ideas, and those are posted there, and 4 shorts potential. Anybody else has any that they want to post out there, I'm more than happy to try to take a look at it, but I've got to go over mine first. Okay, here we go. All right. One of the longs I'm looking at is RRC Range Resources over 1775. And we'll let you know that oil's trading up slightly in the after hours, up 50 cents. Gold's up $1.10, whoop-de-doo. The S&P futures are up 585, the Dow futures up 50, the Nasdaq up 19 and a quarter, and the Russell up 3. Those are less than 0.25% on everything except oil, which is 0.75%. So anything over about 1775, I think Range Resources wants to go to at least 850. And my stop would probably be, I wouldn't put it all the way under 17. I'd probably look at the 60-minute chart here and use the volatility stop here around 17 and a quarter under that, because if it breaks out and comes all the way back down to maybe below 1750, I don't want to be in. Now, I have very small commissions, so I can go in and out as quickly as I want. Some people don't necessarily have that option to do that. Hertz, we traded a little day trade on Friday. Had my head handed to me at the very beginning, but this one looks like a 30 to 45 degree runner because it has a huge amount of short interest. I am going to keep an eye on that for a possible swing trade. Well, let's try this. Now is it working there, Joseph? Okay, because, right. You have to zoom in on one of those crosses, but I just went ahead and that's okay. I think ultimately the target here in Hertz is probably up at 22. So this could be a very nice swing trade over the next few days and weeks, especially if the market kicks into high gear. Cree, I've been long Cree since before here, and it gapped up on, I believe, earnings on Friday, and it looks like it could potentially, because I'm not sure exactly how much the float is short, because it doesn't list the float, it only lists number of days, but I'd be looking for a 30 to 45 degree runner to about 45 at least. Cabot Oil and Gas, all right, I have to back out quite a bit on this one, but basically from March of this year, we had about a $25.75 to $26 level. It got up to there and it pulled back. I think that if it can break over this 26.25, it goes up around $3. And if we look on a weekly chart, you can see what I'm looking at here. Okay. And we'll go back to the daily. Let's edit that. And you see how it was over this level around 25.75 down there. All right, another one that I'm looking at is Macy's. Macy's reports on the 14th. I'm not sure if it's before or after, but we're talking the 12th, 13th, or 14th is Wednesday. Double check, it's probably before the market. We could get a couple day pop. If we don't get it, the reason I have it here on the list, if we don't get a move above 38.25, watch this one to be an earnings pop. Watch this to be an earnings day trade. Before market, right? That's what I was guessing. So this one would probably be one of those categories that I put away and say, I'm going to wait for earnings to tell me, because I want to normally stay on the other side of the earnings. And let's try to stay away from getting killed. And it's 41 up to even 45 could be a player. So you see that over here, this $45 level. All right. Williams-Sonoma. In fact, I notice a thread here on those that are high float short. A lot of them are retailers. A lot of the retailers have got high short interest. And you'll say, well, why are you focusing on high short interest? Actually, I'm not. I'm focusing on the patterns. I'm focusing on where they are in the overall scheme of things. And then I'm double checking, and that's only just icing on the cake. So in this case, we have Williams-Sonoma had been in a downtrend. And then we got a change of character to an uptrend, and we have a level here that we're trying to get over, around a little over 65. Well, I'm thinking that with that 25% float, if we get even a little bit of pop over the top of Friday's high, there is the Friday high on a 60-minute, 2-hour, and a 4-hour chart. The chances are that we are going to go test the 67.75 and maybe even 73 at some point. All right, we do have, I'm not a big believer of Western patterns necessarily, but we have the head, the shoulders, and the armpits all developing. And there's another thing out here. This level at 73, this level 73 is a very, very high volume spike. They tend to want to get retested. So keep an eye on that puppy. Pandora. Pandora was in a downtrend. It has a trend line that I've drawn here. It came up and retested it last week. I see the pullback as long as it maintains above $8.65. I think the possibility is that the trend, yeah, great. In fact, a lot of them are probably cup and handles instead of inverted head and shoulders. Those are very similar, really. And in the big scheme of things, we really have to get back up over 9, and probably want to make sure that it gets over 9.25, so that it can come back here and retest 10. It does have high float, and it reports after the market on the 15th. That's what, Thursday? Right. JCI, Johnson Controls. Downtrend, changing to an uptrend. It's confirmed. Watch for the, it reported on the 8th, which was last week. It gapped up here. Watch for it to move to 36.50 or higher. My category and categorization is at 10% or higher. The higher the better, but 10% or more. It seems to have an effect. Mylan gapped up on earnings. We traded this for a nice profit last week on, you're welcome, SP, on the day of the day trade. If it gets over 37.25, I look for it to go to 39.5. This is potentially setting itself up for a 45-degree run from that day right there, 30 to 45-degree run. And my target would be up there near or at the $39.5 level. Now, it could be a little ragged, and you look at the balance of power is really pretty good there. And it did a change of direction forcibly on that earnings release. Joseph, float is the numbers of shares outstanding in the public domain. There can be ones that are issued that are held in the company coffer, vault, whatever it is you want to call it, owned by the company and not issued. And they've been issued but not released to the public. So if they buy a bunch of shares back, they've been issued, but they own maybe 3 or 4 million of them, but they had issued 20, they would only have 17 million. So the float is the ones that out there in the trading market, because we would usually look at the number of shares short, but that needs to be on a relative basis. If I have just say, oh, I've got 20 million shares short, okay, is that where we have 100 million shares issued and 80 million shares outstanding in the market? So it's basically the number of shares outstanding. The number of shares short divided by the number of shares outstanding. It's just a percentage, and it lets us get an idea of how heavily shorted they are. And what I use it for is if they get going to the upside, the shorts are going to have to start to cover at some point. I use it as fuel in the fire. All right, we covered Mylan. Let's go to GoGo. GoGo has 80% of the float short. Now, this percentage is not exactly up to the date, but it's within 2 weeks of being accurate numbers. So even if it was 80, even we did all of these as float covering, a short covering buys, we'd still have probably 70 to 60% of the float short. Some of these are probably new buys. As it got over this level of around $7 that approaches $7.80, we did a big pullback. Well, I think it wants to go higher. I think this high volume spike wants to get retested as long as we maintain above 6. If it goes below 6, I'm done with this one. But it has a lot of work to do. What I want to do is I want to look at a 2-hour or 1-hour chart, and you can see on a 2-hour, it needs to get over about 6.5. On a 4-hour chart, you see the same 6.5. On the 1-hour, you still see the same 6.5. So I got warm fuzzy that with this 650 way over here to the left back in late October and where we are now, if we can get over 650, we'll change the hourly trend back to up. Okay, it would be an aggressive trade. William P. wants to know, where do I find short interest? Well, there's 2 places to find it. One is on a website called shortsqueeze.com. And the other, I can go in here to another website. All these are free, by the way. FinViz. And if I wanted to look at GoGo, and I want to go look at the float short, and it shows 58%. Oh, go away. That's the one problem with there is that they adverts come in there. They got to pay for it somehow. And that's where I look at the float short. And there's where you see there's the short, the shares outstanding, the numbers that are in the float. I misspoke. It's the float over the number short. So those are the 2 places you can check for it. And in FinViz, it's not as you can see charts and stuff like that. In fact, you see that I get, okay. That makes sense. Just keep it in the back of your mind. At some point, you may want to look at it. All right. AT&T. It's still in a downtrend, but over 31.25. Look at the EMAs here. It might be trying to change itself into an uptrend. However, if it fails and it goes below 30.25, it'll go back into the downtrend. So what I'm looking at here with rising interest rates is that potentially this is telling me on the charts that anything under about 30.50 to 30.25, this is a short to go back to 29. Okay. Another possible short. No, that's not a short. UNM long, high float short. Look over 40.50. It's got a lot of room here. You may want to try to play it between 38.25 and 40.50, or you may want to wait for it to get over 41 in this big gap that goes up to 46 or 47. Regardless of which way you want to look at it, how aggressive you are or you're not, keep it on your watch list for the future. All right, I am already short HLT, the Hilton Hotels. Well, bear flag. It did a rally here when the markets rallied up below 70. It probably drops below 65, but it has to get below that $70 again. All right. This is, I've shorted this twice, and I aggressively shorted it the 3rd time. Hey Robin, we're recording this. I'm going to post it. I have to be out of here by 9 o'clock. So if we have time, we will. Where was the bear flag in what, Joseph? If you're looking at Hilton, they're both marked in red. Okay? HLT. It shows right there. Those are the bear flags. All right. Newmont Mining. I've been watching the golds for a while, and we popped up a little bit, and then we've kind of backed off. I still think that gold miners, primarily Nugget and GDX, look like they want to go higher. Watch for Newmont Mining to go over 33. At some point, this downtrend has stopped. At some point, it wants to go over 33, and I want to be in it. Newmont Mining, from a gold perspective, is not necessarily one of the best miners out there, but it is one that a lot of the big boys like to trade because it fits their criteria. They can get in. There's a lot of shares that has high market cap, and when they jump in the pool, they don't make a big splash. With some of the others that are some of the better ones that I use, like I'd like to ABX, Barrick Gold, AEM has been in the past, but it looks kind of weak at the moment. And those are a couple that I have been trading and been watching. Another retailer that has high float short is JW Nordstrom. Again, it reports on the 15th. Let me double check. Probably after market on the 15th. So it's really a Friday. You could get a play before then. I would love for it to sit there until afterwards, and then look at the gap ups and see that it moves above 70 and goes higher. These are really set up well. Yes, I do. In fact, a lot of the expensive stocks, I'll do that. Like this one, Allergan. Allergan, I believe, is short. It got up to 170, the top level of this gap down, and it's rolling over again. If it gets below 165, I'll be looking at directional shorts to hit about 158 in the next couple of weeks. So I'd probably go out about anywhere between 20 and 45 days on the option. And I would buy the puts up at a 70.7 delta, probably around 172 if it has them. Yeah, could be. All right, microchip. 15% of the float is short here. MCHP reported, and it was in an uptrend. It's having trouble getting over 74, 75, but I think it wants to go to 78, 75, even though it doesn't look very much in between these gaps. They're $5 between each of the grid lines. All right, so that was a good one on Thursday. Not so much on Friday, but watch. Joseph, you'll have to decide whether you want to make it close to be there or not. To me, I see if it pokes its nose down below 165-ish. That's an area, not an exact number. But if it gets below there, then this 1 hour and 2 hour chart's starting to roll over and continue the rollover. You can see, and it's trading is an art. This looks like a rollover here if it continues to go down. If it pops back up, then it may not be. It may be trying to show support at 165. The level could be 163 for all I know, or 161. You've got to be early in here, especially on options necessarily. All right. Another one that could be either way, but I'm looking because of the number of shares that are the float that's short. I'm looking for about 21 bucks here for Acor to get into this gap or get into this, what I call the void. Even though there was trading in this day here on that candle, it was basically a waterfall. And those act as very, very little resistance. There aren't very large pockets of sellers there to be in your way. However, that said, it's pulled back a ways away from 21, and it has work to do. I'm going to keep my eye on it. Now, I have another level here, 23.75 below the $29. That would be the first level of resistance, if you will. But I'd put that with the small R versus the big R over here to the right, where you've got 27.5 up to $29. All right, my last one's also a short. Netflix. You see the overall trend in Netflix down facing below 298 and a quarter. I think it goes to 275. Now this one moves quite a bit. I'd pick out possibly $330 or maybe $310 if it rolls under but 298. I'm going to use the 0.7 delta for the options. All right, let's go back. All right, I covered Hilton, telephone, AGN, and Netflix's shorts. All right, there's a 30-day trial offer, $14 for all three of our trading services and rooms. You want to go over there and give us a shot. Cheaper than a trip to Applebee's or Chili's for one, or Denny's or McDonald's for two, and probably healthier for you. All right, I am going to open up for just questions. These are general questions about stuff that I've covered, but haven't maybe answered a question. It has nothing to do with individual stocks at the moment. If you post an individual stock, I'm not going to pay any attention to it. So, ask away. See if we have any. No Malcolm, $14 a piece. Otherwise, that would be just a dead giveaway. It's cheap at twice the price. Is the downturn over? Well, I don't know. We had your attention, huh? Let's stay really with I guess the question of the day really is the downturn over? The SPY tells me that it might be. The diamonds tell me that it might be. The Qs are telling me not so fast, rut-roll. And IWM, not so fast, Red Rider. We've got a lot of work to do in those. They got hammered. And Rick S. says, do I put any weight on the fact that the RUT and the tech lead that led the markets up are now the weakest? Yeah, that gets my attention. But I don't necessarily give them any more credence than the fact is that it might be a sector rotation going on. We may have been up, they get a pullback, and they may be rotating or already rotated out, and now they're getting into the multinationals. Then there's the problem with the multinationals that the international markets are showing some weakness as well. We could talk ourselves blue and silly in the face, and I don't really know where it's going to go, but I'm going to watch the charts, and the charts will tell me. I just have to be able to interpret the charts. I have never known for the markets to move in one direction or the other without giving us the indication. The problem is most of the time, or some of the times, we're not able to decipher what it's trying to say. Do I trade moving averages? Happy? The answer is no. I only use the moving averages to help me judge the trend. As you see here in the IWM, it was in a solid downtrend. I would only be looking for shorts there. In the Qs, I was only looking for shorts, and even though this had a reversion to the mean up to the 17, I still was not convinced. I, for one, am a firm believer that I want higher highs and higher lows. Well, in this case, we did down, we went up, we didn't break this level in here. This 180 level, we didn't break it, and we went down. And then we kind of tried to stop at 172 or so, and then it collapsed. So I watch those, and I use them. You can probably use them as training wheels, but eventually you'll get to the point where you don't need these to visualize the trend. But we're at a fork in the road at the moment. No, TC2000 did away with the numbers of shorts. They used to do it in float and shares and whatever. They copped out when I tried to pin them to the wall and said, "Why did you take it away?" They said, "Well, it's unreliable data." And I went, "Right." They probably had to pay. Somebody wanted them to pay for it now, and they balked at it, I'm guessing. Bill B wants to know how I'm finding them, the setups and everything. Well, partly I'm finding them on earnings list out of places like briefing.com. That's how I find my earnings list. And obviously economic reports are Econo Day. And TC2000, we've got some scans that we've developed over the years that we share with our members. Okay, and go over here and this one looks for what I call J hooks. That is a pattern whereby a stock is a move up, followed by the pullback, and then starts to curl back up. And I'm trying to find that one right there, so that when it gets to the next swing high, that's my first target. There are others out there that say you don't buy till it goes above that breakout, and that when it's a J hook confirmed. And I went, okay, where's your stop then? Down here? I don't like that. I'd rather get in a little bit early and know where that target is and know where my stop is. The downside of my way of doing it is that sometimes they do one of these bounces and roll back over. But I've got a really tight stop or roll out. Most of them actually, if they do a really good solid move up, this is just the pause that refreshes before they go higher. But we have a number of scans that we use. Rick has a wonderful one that took me a while to figure out, the rounded bottom breakout. Let's see. Acor. And that's basically one that is above the 50, but below the 200, and the difference between the two is greater than 10%. All right, it really works out well. Okay. S&P wants to know why I think there are no sellers in here. I say no is in small number. There's relatively few. I kind of overstated it when I said no sellers. I mean no big amount, not a large amount of sellers. There could be, but I doubt it. If the waterfall, that went down in one day just like that. And if you find, to me, the waterfall on Acor was more than one day. It was these 2 days here. And you can tell that it had a little bit of an overlap right there, and that's why I drew the line there, and had another overlap here. And what is it having trouble doing? It's having trouble getting over that $21 overlap. If I were able to go, and I can't do that on TC2000, if I were able to drill down to an hourly chart, let's see if we can get it on a 2-hour chart. All right, we can see a little bit of it on a 2-hour chart, where this little level here, it's the same as the daily. Let's see if we can see it on an hourly. Maybe it is close enough. Yep, it is. All right, and you see where I got the $21, but I was guessing. I was guessing on what the overlap would be, and I got pretty close because the prices are not totally exact. They're within a range of anywhere between 15 to 25 cents, and I'm going to base a lot of my entry and everything on what is most current. Okay. Do you teach how to set up day trades and best ensure high success? Absolutely, Kimberly. I've got a whole series. I've mentored and coached a number of people in day trading. My favorite is to day trade the earnings reports after the fact, not before. If you want to contact me, well, it keeps missing some of the letters here. TopGunTrading2@gmail.com. All right, and then just say that you're interested in coaching, and we'll set up the time to get together and talk. Free consultation. We'll set up in the coaching. What I do is I set up where we talk for 30 to 45 minutes about your experience and what to believe your weaknesses are, the things you want help on, what your strengths are, what we can build on. Then I come up with a lesson plan based upon what we talk about. You get to review it and we talk again. If you approve the lesson plans, then we'll move forward. Otherwise, there's no obligation. If you know the answer to that question, I'll give you all my money right now. Oh, well, I don't know what that was, Joseph. What the markets are going up or down. Do you like your coffee black or with cream and sugar? Hazelnut. Sean, possibly a very H&S on this should go back, I guess, back to 274 rally, possibly. 275 is the first level that I've got there, Sean. What is that? Robin, I think I covered yours about the SPY, the diamond say maybe, and the Qs and the IWM say not so fast. Baba Singles Day was. Let's see. All right. Well, is that China? China's retail. I'm saying that retail has been overly slimed. Joseph A wants to know if I subscribe to price action like Doug. The answer is yes, and the reason I'll say that, you see all these levels. See now he's talking about higher highs, higher lows. I am as well, but I'm also talking about price levels. Targets over these are entry levels. We use almost exactly the same methodology. Okay. You could, Tony C asked the question. Steve, on your charts, I could see, could not make out the 34 exponential. You can see it up here, but when I edit it, you'll see that it's grayed out. All right. What I've done is, there it is in orange, but I've grayed it out because I don't use it on all of my charts. It gets too darn busy if I have it on all charts. So I move it when I want to look at the 34. But 34 is not one of my big ones. It is for Doug. It is for, I'll put words in the mouth of Rick. But there are certain scans that I will look for the 34 exponential. But most of them are not. Okay. So market open tomorrow on Veterans Day? I believe so, Andre. Thank you, Terry. Time gotta go. Andre, yes. Yeah. The J-Hook scan is available. We created, Valerie, in TC2000. It's not proprietary, but we try not to share all of our best scans with everybody, I guess. I guess I'm holding back. Come get a trial with us, and we'll do that. I think we may even have the J-Hook scan for Thinkorswim. What time frame do I use for day trading? William P. Yes. 2 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute. And you go, wait a minute, that's a lot of minutes. Well, early in the morning when the stocks want to open, this may not be a really good example because it's one that got slapped in the face. I'll use a 2 minute opening range. And I went long over the green line. It went up. It could not get over the 1950 level. It tried it a couple of times. My stop was down here below the vol stop, below 1850, and I got taken out. 5 minute opening range. I also would have been taken in, and I also would have been stopped out. But by the end of the day, it recovered to 19 and a half again. That's why it's back on my list. Should I have potentially traded it later? Yes, but I don't trade on Friday afternoons. Totally do not trade Friday afternoons. 10:30 or so over 1880, I probably should have gotten back in. Yes. But yes, that's the kind of stuff that I cover. What's a good gap? How to find resistance levels and the like, and which ones are important or not. A lot of people like to fade every gap. That all gap ups are not good fades, meaning shorts, and not all gap downs are buys. Some of them are, some of them are not. In fact, most gap ups are not shorts. Most gap downs are not buys, and I can tell you why. Hal has died. Oh no. Thanks, Valerie. Okay, we can get you that information mañana. Is that okay? Tom P. I'm not sure all of them are in the resources tab, but most of them are. You're right. Okay, and I'll go ahead and try to post in room 3 tonight, Valerie. Okay. All right. Now, we're looking at 848. I'm going to do this. Well, for me, I get $1 plus fees at if you're talking about options, or are you talking about futures? Because I'm talking about options, and options I only have to pay $1, and I pay $3 in, $3 out for my stock trades. Yeah. So am I paying more? Maybe, maybe not. If you guys could post one and one stock only. One symbol, please tell me if you're looking at a long or a short. And when we get to 9 o'clock, I don't care where we're at, I'm going to have to leave. Okay? All right. So here we go. Marriott. Roger, what do you think I would say about Marriott if you showed that these we're at a fork in the road, and as Yogi Berra would say, when you come to the fork in the road, take it. This one is trying to decide whether it wants to go up or down. Whoops. It moved up and it gapped down on earnings. Right now, we have what could be a bear flag. I'm seeing it as a bear flag more than a long. Watching for the rollover. Sorry, probably below 114 and a half or so. Not for long. But that's just the way I'm seeing it. It did it back here and rolled over. It did not do it here because it ran up into earnings. It had disappointing earnings, or at least they weren't to expectations. So I believe there's been a change in sentiment. That's just the way I'm seeing it. Alan V wants to look at WBA. WBA would have been a perfect opportunity to jump in back here when it broke out, i.e. 74.25 like Doug did. And when it came back, again, that's when the markets went bonkers. A breakout over 78, little level here. I'd wait for a pullback. Let's look at the area chart. It's going to run into some resistance around the $85 or $86 level, but that's still a ways above. Next earnings is again not until January. So wait for a pullback, you might get it. Dollar Tree Long, DLTR. I'd make Dollar Tree break the 88.25 level, knowing that 90 is going to be a tough nut to crack. Let's do that one right about there. Notice I mark everything in about 25-cent increments. And then if it gets up over that and gets through 90, watch for it to go up into the 90, the low 90s or higher. Be aware, this shows Dollar Tree has earnings on the 20th. So it may have a run into earnings. It doesn't know whether it's before the market on the 20th, but it's a question mark. It may try to run, but I think it won't get over 90 till after the earnings, or it'll crap out. United Health. My wife and I have some United Health options. We got leaps for 2020. I'd let this thing pull back. See if it tries to pull back to 272. I was looking to try to sell upside calls against it on Friday. But it goes up, gets a little excited and comes back, goes up. And the markets, it pulled back with the markets, but not necessarily as much as the others. You know, I think 272 to 273, it could pull back to there. There's a 4-hour chart. You can see it gets a little on the toppy side 2-hour chart. And if it breaks out above 278, it might go there. I don't know. That one's kind of tough. I usually wait for pullbacks on these. It usually happens if you're patient enough. Clorox Long. All right, no more new symbols, please. We'll never get through all of these. Clorox Warren. Same thing, I'd let it pull back. It could pull back to 155 or even 152. A lot of times they'll pull back to the 17 exponential that's rising, which will be about 155. Watch and see what it does there. They do have to give us a buy signal. And what you're going to want for a buy signal is maybe something like this, where you get maybe a bullish candle as it's going down, down, and then there's the reversal up. Where did we get the reversals up? There was a reversal here where it did the flatness. There was a perfect J hook right here at 140. I would have gone long over 141, or should have. Wait for one of those pullbacks. FBHS short from Mike. Well, it was a perfect setup on Thursday, below 45. Does it go to 41.50? Possibly. You may want to see if it'll do an intraday bounce up to 44 or so on the hourly chart. If it does that and then rolls over, I think you could do it. Without that, where's the stop? Is the stop really tight here to 44.50, or does it have to be above 45? If you use hourly chart, real tight, 2 hours, And there's not a really, you'd probably almost have to have 46 as a stop. And I think that's a little bit too long away for me, too far away. USO, don't say direction though. If you're thinking long on USO, you're bottom fishing. I don't bottom fish. I wanted to make higher highs and higher lows. Do I miss out on some of the V bottoms? Yes, I miss out on most of the V bottoms. You're welcome, Mike. Remember how much you didn't pay for all this tonight. Symantec. Wait for the Symantec pullback in 22. People will say, "Oh well, it got back to 22. That was a prior breakout level. That should be resistance." Well, some people nibbled on it, but it didn't close back up towards 23. I'm thinking that maybe a 2150 level might be a more accurate level. Maybe even 2050 here. Let's look at a 2-hour chart. There's 2050. There's 2060. You can see how people were nibbling here based on that $22 level. And on 2 hours, it's going up. 4 hours, that's why they were nibbling. But these are the big guys that are looking for long terms. If you're with them, fine. If not, there's an hourly chart. It looks like it held 2150. It's now 2230. My first target would be 23. That's only about 75 cents up, with my stop being about 75 cents down. 1 to 1 is not enough for me. I want about 1.5 to 2 to 1 to my first target, and then let it break out. This needed to be a deeper retracement and then curl up, or I needed to get early on Thursday around 22. Then it would be a little bit different. All right, Stu. QNST. Let's go back to the daily. QNST is consolidating up near the highs. The stochastic RSI is pulling back. If you went, I would probably make it break out. Let's look at an area chart. That'll be all-time highs. Nah, not so. Okay, 23. We're in a zone. Yeah. It's a wide one. You may want to try to make it break over the 17.25 level with your stop almost $1 behind. The stop would be down here with you use the breakout up there. I don't know. You'd have to think about your own reward to risk ratio. Really tough on that one. Console. Are you looking at CNSL, David, because of the dividend? If so, 11% dividend is pretty much out of whack with maintainability, to be honest with you. You got a 30 position in leaps. Okay, good luck. Oil. I'm looking at crude oil. Let me go look at a yearly chart or a weekly. Jesus. Give me a second and I'll show you something. Tony, there's the weekly chart in oil. Can we get a bounce? Yes. Could it stop here at 58? Maybe. The volume point of control on oil is below 50. I don't say that it's going there, but the volumes are critical on these. You're already long CNSL. Watch out, it looks like it did a bearish engulf on Friday. If it rolls below, say, $13, I'd say this move is over. For now. It can pull back to 12.5. it can pull back to 1275 and still be in an uptrend. I notice how this big gap down, the move down, the waterfall, how it kind of went up to the 50% line and pull it and then came back up on last week, Monday or Tuesday. Very little resistance, but we read 1350 was resistance. Okay, BSX. We're beyond time there, Pat. I need to run. BSX looks like it wants to go to 39, but entering from here, good Lord, where's the stop? Friday it went down to 37.50. Do you think, I don't know. You're welcome, Anthony. Be right with you, AM. Okay, Ulta real quick. Ulta needs to pull back. That right, it does look like it might want to go higher. We're done with the stocks. I can't go over anymore. AMW. When we sign up for the trial, do you have day trading info that we could preview? I don't know. Can you expand upon that? What do you mean? Info that you could preview? Are you talking about how we do day trades and stuff like that? The timing would be perfect because what we're going to do on Thursday at 2 p.m. is we're going to have a members e-learning, and we're going to go over my setups and everything. So we'll have it live. We'll have it posted up for the members to see, and we'll talk about how I set up my entries, opening ranges, why I look at gaps as good and bad, and the whole 9 yards. Yeah. In fact, there's some stuff up there that we're updating. Some of the stuff is still left over from futures, and I apologize, but we're updating it as fast as we can. And obviously, we covered the training stuff in the room every day. Okay. And if you have questions, I'll take questions either during the room or one-on-one. We're there to help everybody. All right. I actually have a YouTube website, AM, and let me go to that real quick. And I'll give you the link, and you'll find a whole bunch of stuff. I have a YouTube channel. All right, on it, if you go to videos, you can go down to trading sessions. You'll see what we've been trading lately. Let's see, it was a week ago. All right, here's one. Right, we set the balls. Okay. Here's one that we did on CTB. That was a day trade. And you did just videos. There's a bunch of them out there. And a members e-learning from a couple of weeks ago. Let's get there. That was 25 October. I'm not going to cover that one. I think that's probably futures. So with this continuation, it isn't. Okay. All right. And that has stocks in it. Twitter, I know for sure. Twitter trade. Anyway, if you go to the YouTube, you'll see our dailies out there, and we're updating stuff on the website as well. All right, folks, I need to run. I'm about 5 minutes late. If you guys have any questions, use that email to contact me, and I'll be happy to talk to everybody. No obligation. And we know that everybody needs to check everything out and be happy and satisfied before they commit. All right. Take care. Have a great night, what's left of it, and happy trading this week. Aloha.